everything's an opportunity to forgive. And I forgive me, everything's an opportunity to forgive. And I choose peace, everything's an opportunity to forgive. And I forgive me, everything's an opportunity to forgive. And I choose peace, everything. Everything, ooh, everything, everything, ooh. I can't help but sing that song and think of the like the opposite of what it's saying, which is like every moment is an opportunity to judge, to be judgmental, you know, and our little ego minds love to do that. So it's like, you know, it's its job to evaluate. So let's like catch that and just say, hey, keep letting it go, keep letting those thoughts go. But that's not my talk. That's just a thought. Yeah. You know, I love it when a speaker opens with a joke, so I have a joke for you to start things off. And you're used to that? Not the first time, huh? That's good. I appreciate that. So this is about a guy who dies and goes to heaven. So already it's funny. So anyway, but he shows up at the pearly gates, and the only thing is he has this sack over his shoulder. And St. Peter sees this and says, "I'm sorry, sir, no earthly belongings allowed. But you got to let me bring this in." "No, I'm sorry, that's the rules. But this is like the essence of all the work I've done on earth." And by now, St. Peter's curious what could be so important in the sack. And so the guy sets the sack down, and St. Peter, you know, opens it up and looks in. And he reaches in, he pulls out the entire contents, which is these 10 bars of gold, these 10 gold bricks. And St. Peter looks at the gold and looks at the guy and says, "So, you want to bring in pavement?"
Oh, that's good.
I like that joke. I like that joke. You can't use that now. So I love that joke. I think it's a nice little message there, too. Sometimes we get a little lost as to what really has value. Maybe we kind of misplace our priorities. And what I want to do today is look at like 3 things in my life that have been super valuable, real turning points in my journey, and how those spiritual lessons I learned really apply to all of us. So the title I've given this is, my talk is Leap, Look, and Listen. Leap, Look, and Listen. So the leap part of my story has to do with how I got to be doing what I'm doing today. You know, I started as a kid who loved music. I learned ukulele as an 8-year-old and piano as a 10-year-old and all these other instruments. And it came time to go to college, and I thought, well, this is a no-brainer. I love music. I'll be a music major. And, you know, my dad had a little talk with me, and he's a good dad. He's a great, open-hearted guy. And he said, "Charlie, you know, you could do that if you want, but just so you know, if you want to have a family, it might be hard to do it if you're a musician, because musicians travel a lot." And I went, oh, well, maybe I'll relook at other possibilities. So I kind of let that go and went to UT Austin and started with no major for 2 years. Then I tried business for a year, and that wasn't me. These were not my people. And then I tried architecture. And at this point, it's like pick a card, any card kind of. But I knew I wanted to go to college. So I just dived into the architecture department and got this 5-year degree. And I remember, you know, we're famous for pulling all-nighters, you know, to get all these projects done. I remember being up late at night, like 3 in the morning, you know, walking out, get out under the stars to take a breath of fresh air, and looking up going, what am I doing here? You know, is this really it? But, you know, put your head down, get the job done, keep going. Graduated with my 5-year degree, started working in corporate architecture, was in Austin for a while, then Houston, in this high-rise building. Again, sitting in my cubicle on the 4th floor, drafting away, just thinking, what am I doing here? Is this it? And I swear to you, the architects and engineers walking by my cubicle, they had to be looking in and thinking, what is he doing here? You know, if it's not a fit for you, maybe other people see it too. But you know, what I noticed is it was safe. I had my regular paycheck, my benefits package, you know, the insurance and all that. And yet, I felt like I was dying a slow death. I like to call it my slow death with benefits. But anyway, so around that time, I started to be on my spiritual journey. I was having this awakening, this opening. And I'd been writing songs for some years, so now the songs I was writing started to reflect that inner journey. And a friend of mine heard the music I was playing, and she said, you know, I know some people that might really enjoy these songs you're writing. She said, have you ever been to a Unity church? And I said, no, but tell me about it. And so she gave me a phone number. I contacted some people who were the music directors at this church in Houston. Gave a call, and they said, oh, come on down. It was like a Thursday night. We're having a rehearsal tonight for this production we're doing. We could use another male voice. So suddenly I walked in the door, and it felt like instant family. And this instant community, loved it. It's like, wow, just plugged right into this vast heart kind of connection. And as things progressed, I eventually did a solo in church on a Sunday. Scared to death, you know, my knees knocking. It was a big church, like 500 people. It was like, but I knew, my heart knew, this is my journey. This is my fire walk, in a way. And you know, one thing led to another, and eventually these two music directors said, hey, we're going to go to a Unity in Beaumont, like an hour away. Do you want to come along? Like Sunday service, afternoon concert. Sure. So I came along, and this really opened my eyes, because it was like beautiful what happened in church, but really the afternoon concert, to have 2 hours to just kind of run with the music and see where it leads and watch. You know, it's not really about the music per se, it's what the music does, what the music opens, what awakening happens because of what's coming through the music. And to be a part of that for 2 hours, I went, oh my God, I have to do this. I have to. You know that feeling where you can't not do something? And so the next day at work, I gave my 2 weeks notice. I said, I'm sorry, I got to go. And I wasn't sure how this was going to work, but God, you're going to have to help me. And I remember it felt like I'm stepping out like I'm going to walk on water, no visible means of support, and somehow this is going to work. And I had a little bit of savings, but I plowed that mostly into my first recording, just, you know, put it into where I'm going. And what I noticed is with every step, you know, somehow I was covered. Somehow support showed up. And it was quite a faith walk, not a get-rich-quick scheme, but rich in the heart. All the experiences that I've been a part of other people's growth and my growth and the journeys and the travel around the world. And, you know, it's been an amazing journey. And I also noticed that there was one other form of support that showed up that was very powerful. Maybe you've heard of this. It's called overdraft protection. A dear friend of mine for many years, and really made it work. And that's faith too, isn't it? You step out, say, okay, I'm going to write this check, and then I'm going to go out, and God, let's harvest the next round and come pay that off. And it's been 33 years as of last month I've been doing this, and it's been a wonderful journey. Yeah, thank you. I'm a person who remembers dates, so I can tell you it was March 2nd, 1982. And I can tell you because in 7th grade we have Texas history, that was Texas Independence Day is March 2nd. So that was my independence as a Texan in stepping into my true journey. And so I love numbers, so on July 2nd, I'm going to have my third of a century concert in my hometown. Oh, wow. So that'll be 33 and a third. So celebrate a third of a century doing this work. So that was my leap. And, you know, I continue to leap in different ways and stretches. You know, when I first started this, I wasn't giving talks in churches. And it's like, so you keep stretching. How can I keep stretching? Or even in my recording, like, let's try something a little different, a little new. I don't know if people are going to like this, but I like it. Let's see. And, but my question for you is, what is your next stretch, your next leap? You know, it may not be this vast career change I did, but I'm guessing that there's some project some inspiration in the back of your mind that you've been meaning to do, some way of being of service. And sometimes we kind of stay on the bench instead of getting into the game. So what's been hovering for you, your next stretch, your next way to be of service? And something to keep in mind is, like, think of someone in your spiritual journey that was a real turning point person for you. They made a difference. We have the opportunity to be that for the next wave of people. We can be that turning point person. I think of it almost like that they're out there with their thumb out on the road waiting for you to pick them up. And it's powerful. There's so much potential to be of service in everyone else's journey. So what's your next stretch to somehow be a part of that continuum? Okay, so leap, look, and listen. The look part of my story has to do with something that happened many years ago, early in my spiritual journey, and it was totally transforming. I wandered into this spiritual workshop one evening. There was a Healing Arts Festival in Aspen, Colorado, and they had these free workshops in the evenings, and I saw one that said something about higher consciousness. Well, it looks good, so I wandered in. And as I entered, there was a man and woman who were about to lead it, and I looked in their eyes, and I saw this deep peace. I thought, I want to know what they're doing. You know that feeling? Like, I want to know what they're doing. And so there was this trust I had. And I don't remember a whole lot about that hour and a half workshop, except that about halfway through, they said, we're going to do an exercise. And they said, what I'd like you to do is find a partner and turn your chairs so you're facing each other knee to knee. So I didn't know anybody, so some stranger, some guy. And then they said, now, for the next 20 minutes, so imagine someone's telling you this. For the next 20 minutes, look in your partner's eyes in silence. And that's the entire assignment. In fact, let's do that right now. Would you turn your chair? No. So I thought, that's crazy, but okay. But I remembered I trusted them, so let's see where this goes. And so I turn, I'm facing this guy I don't know, and I look in his eyes, and so here we go for 20 minutes in silence, right? And so my first thought is, oh my God, he can see into my soul. I feel so exposed. And I think my next thought was, what? It's only been 2 minutes? And it was mostly a lot of mind chatter, just like that, just that little chatting mind the whole time, not really much connection, but like, what am I doing? And I got to the end, and they finished up the evening, and at the end they gave an announcement. If anyone wants to come back, we're doing another workshop in 4 days. And I found myself drawn back. Like, well, let's see what else happens. I ended up doing that exercise many, many, many times. And the more I did it, the more that I found those spaces between the thoughts, the place of no thought. There's the chatter, but what if I can find that place? And maybe that's where we really exist. Remember the I am spirit self? Maybe that's where we as spirit exist, is between those thoughts. And just to be in that beingness. And so the more I did it, the more I could just step into the beingness and let the chatter kind of go. And then the more I did it, another thing showed up. It got to where I could tell when the other person's mind was chattering and when it was still. And it's like it was really becoming obvious to me when they were in those different states. And I kind of didn't believe it, so I asked my partner one time, we broke the rules essentially by talking, but I need to check with you and see if I'm getting this right. And I was nailing it every time. Now, how can I do that? How can I do that? I think it's because the more we slow down, we step deeper and deeper into how truly connected we are. That we're stepping into that oneness that we talk about. And it's the name on the building, right? Unity. That oneness. That's why we're here, to know that oneness with ourselves, with each other, with God. And then we took it a step further. We did a marathon on a Saturday. And so a bunch of us got together, and we sat for 20 minutes in silence, took a quick break, came back to a second set of 20 minutes, a quick break, a third set of 20 minutes in silence, a quick break, a fourth set of 20 minutes. Somewhere, and same partner the whole time, somewhere about halfway through that fourth set, I had become so merged with my partner that there was this moment where I couldn't remember which body I was looking out of. It had just become us. Like we hit that bedrock of total connection. And that changed my life. I mean, I can't see you guys the same anymore. Doesn't mean I'm enlightened or don't have issues, but I've touched that place. And that's life-changing. It's life-changing. And I didn't have to go to Unity Ministerial School for 3 years or read a stack of books this tall on spirituality. It just had to do with stopping and being, just slowing down into who I am, who we are, and to truly look, to truly see the connection that we are, the oneness that we talk about, and to touch it, not just think about it. That's life-changing. So how does this apply to you? You may never sit in 20 minutes in silence across from someone's eyes. But, I've noticed as a kid growing up, over the decades, I feel like we're opening more how we see each other, how we're willing to engage. As a kid, I'd walk down the sidewalk, and you revert your vision. You don't look at someone coming the other way. But, more and more, I think we're opening. So are we willing to open even more, to remember, that I am Spirit we're singing about, that's who's across from us. I think Spirit would be happy to look Spirit in the eyes. Maybe we can peel away those membranes of fear, those kind of veils we keep between us where we don't really see each other, and to truly look, to truly see. Even with family members. Sometimes we have so much story wrapped around certain people in our lives. Can we peel that away and just see that pure essence that they are? Yeah, maybe that's hard. Or maybe that's where the rubber meets the road, in our spiritual journey. The easy stuff's easy. How about that stuff? Okay, so leap, look, and listen. We're not going to get lunch, are we? I'll see how briefly I can say this last one. The listen... really lesson that showed up in my life. I've never said that before, the listen lesson. It had to do with a shift that happened in my songwriting. Now, as a songwriter, often songs would just come when they came. I couldn't control it. I'd be lying in bed and hear a melody and jump up and record it, or be going for a walk and catch, something starts coming in and catch it. But then there came a day when I wanted to write a song for someone on her birthday. And this ended up being the mother of my son, and we were married for a while. So I did get the family thing, by the way. People ask that sometimes. Wonderful 26-year-old son, Jeremy. But I wanted to write a song for her on her birthday, and that's not how it works. You don't get to pick the day a song comes. But I got out my guitar, my little tape recorder, and my blank piece of paper, and I sat there. I thought, well, what would be some good chords? I don't know. And it really wasn't flowing at all. It didn't sound like real music. And it's like, okay. And then I heard this voice, and this was not normal for me. And the voice said 3 things, and it was very emphatic. It said, close your eyes, shut up, and listen. So I thought, okay. And I did. So I closed my eyes, and in the silence, I opened to see what I would hear. And I heard this little melody coming in that I'd never heard before. I remember thinking, well, that's pretty, and so I sang that to my little recorder, and I listened some more and heard some more melody and sang that to catch it before I forgot it. And then once I had a bit of a melody, I got the guitar, well, what chords go with that? And within 30 minutes, I had a complete song. And it was amazing. It's like, wow, just from getting out of the way. And I liken it to as if there's this little thread dangling down from heaven. I didn't invent that thread, but I'm aware of it, and I pull on the thread, and I keep pulling, and there's more threads, and eventually it's like cloth, like this broadcloth coming out of heaven, and this material, and it's like my job to kind of trim it and give it beginnings and endings, and just put it into some order. And almost all the music that I'm singing these days came because I just got silent and listened, just to get out of the way, to be available to a greater source. And it's amazing. And what a new technique, just get out of the way and be available. Whoever thought of that? So you may not think of yourself as a songwriter, but there are other ways this could apply to you. Let's see, how are you going to rearrange your living room? Maybe you're confused. So maybe, what if you just sat still and maybe see if you can see a vision of it? Or, whatever some question you have. Or everyone needs to ask for guidance, right? God, what do I do? Can you get quiet? And just still yourself and listen and ask to see what you hear. Now, it may sound like a crazy thing to do, like, what? You're making your decision based on hearing voices in your head? Well, to me it sounds like an interesting journey. So, and do you ever ask and you hear an answer and you're not sure you like the answer? So you say, you have any other answers? Well, if you're willing to ask and willing to hear, maybe go with what you're given. You might have this fear, well, what if I end up like getting bumps and bruises because I go with this voice I'm hearing? Well, you're already getting bumps and bruises as it is, aren't you? Yeah. Why not do it holding God's hand, just seeing where that leads? Maybe it'd be a fun adventure. Maybe it'd be a wise adventure. So leap. What is your next stretch to be in service? Look. How can you more deeply see that we truly are a spirit being with spirit? And listen. How can you make yourself available to that guidance, to that creation, to that source that's greater than us? To allow it to flow through. So these are amazing lessons in my life, and I know they are in yours as well. So may you leap, look, and listen into your next adventure. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you.